Hi, this is Brian. I received a request from IPS to do a little video about my IPS wheels, and I'm very happy to do that. I will tell you a little bit about the wheels I have, and we'll do a little demo, including a hill challenge. I want to begin by talking about the IPS 191, also known as the Lhotz. Here it is. Probably the most distinguishing characteristic or interesting feature of the IPS 191 Lhotz is its extra wide tire. This is a 2.5-inch wide tire, unusual in the world of 16-inch wheels. And this is a 16-inch wheel. It has a 340 watt-hour battery and a 1,000-watt motor. I had commented at first when I first began using the Lhotz, I was worried about the pedal retention system. The pedals are not magnetic like many EUCs have, where they swing up and down freely and are held in the upright position by magnets. These are held up by friction, and I will attempt to demonstrate that right now. So as you can see, they're friction-based, and I was concerned initially that after a while they would loosen and the pedals wouldn't stay up. But not on this one, because this is a newer one, but on my older one, I found that is not the case. They do get looser than this one is. You probably noticed it's actually a little bit hard to raise and lower the pedals. They're quite stiff, but they loosen up gradually. And my other one that I've had for months, the pedals are much easier to raise and lower, but they're never loose at all. There's never any feeling that they might fall down or not stay up in the upright position. So don't worry about that. You might also see here something interesting. That is a QR code where customers can download the app. This wheel does have a nice app that goes with it to control some of the settings and get information, such as how many kilometers you have ridden, what the state of the battery is, and so forth. I wanted to mention that the IPS usually puts directional tires on their wheels. I have several IPS wheels and they all have directional tires, meaning that the tread is optimized for the best performance in the direction indicated on the sidewall. Let me show you that. Okay, when you see this colorful labeling on the sidewall, the directional arrow is right near that. I hope you could see that. It's a little hard to see, but if you couldn't see it in the video, just bear in mind that somewhere on the sidewall, and usually it's going to be beside this colorful manufacturer identification, will be an arrow showing the intended rotation of the tread pattern. So I usually pay attention to that and ride my wheel with the forward direction according to the proper rotation indicated on the sidewall. It certainly won't damage the tire or damage the EUC in any way if you ride in the opposite direction. I just think if the tread is optimized for that direction, then that's the direction I would like to use. Okay, let's take a little ride now, and we'll end it with a hill challenge. This is a good time to mention that IPS thoughtfully includes grip tape. Very helpful, very appreciated. The grip tape does eventually wear off, as you could predict. I would say on my older Lhotz, the grip tape lasted several months at least. And actually it's not completely gone at this point. It's still partially there and is still helping to provide a safer and more comfortable stance while riding. Okay, let's go up and down our street here just to get a feel for what it's like to ride the Lhotz, and then we'll see if we can take on this hill. That hill right there is very challenging for EUCs. In fact, my IPS wheels are not 100% successful at climbing it. They do climb it successfully most of the time. Hopefully today will be one of those times. But hill climbing is a big feature, one of the big advantages of the IPS wheels. So I wanted you to be able to see how well they actually can perform in a challenging hill climb. This is especially important to me because in this neighborhood where I live, it's very hilly. This hill up ahead is very typical. So a wheel that cannot do well on hills would be very disappointing for someone like me living in this kind of environment. But really, anyone riding EUCs, you should want a good hill climber, because even if you mostly encounter flat areas, sooner or later there will be a hill. And it's no fun if you have to step off and carry your wheel up the hill. All right. Here we go. And bear in mind, we're going to go down, come back, and then try to take on this hill and see how the Lhotz can handle it. I really like this street because it has the majestic trees forming almost like a canopy overhead. It's quiet and peaceful. We're not testing the speed capabilities of the Lhotz at all. I'm going well below what it's capable of. I don't ride really fast most of the time. I like to enjoy looking at the scenery as it goes by. But when it comes to performance, what I really do care about, as I mentioned, is hill climbing capability. Did you see that steep hill? Very typical. This is just a hilly area, and you just couldn't survive as an EUC rider in this neighborhood without loads of torque. So when we get down to where we started, we'll just keep going and attack that hill, see how the Lhotz handles it today. As I mentioned, I wish I could say it climbs it 100% of the time. I would put the success rate at something like maybe 98%. I do occasionally experience the Lhotz giving out part way up. So we're going to do our best to give you a good demonstration of the Lhotz really shining in one of its best characteristics, which is hill climbing. All right, hill coming up. Let's see how it goes. Okay, and I'm not zigzagging or anything because I want you to see just how it performs directly attacking the hill. We are going very slow, which is typical. I don't mind if it goes slow. As long as it succeeds in reaching the top. And we're going to have success. That's what we love about the Lhotz. I'm glad you got a chance to see that. If you're considering purchasing one, comparing it to other options out there, different EUC models that are available, I can really recommend the Lhotz without reservation. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I've had zero problems with two different ones, and I thank IPS for asking me to make this video, and I hope it's helpful to you in making your decision. Thank you for riding with me today. Let's talk a little bit about the 2.5-inch tire. Why is that important? Well, I have found it's really a big advantage for comfort and stability. Even inflated to a hard pressure such as 50 psi, which is what I usually use, this tire is so much more comfortable than the smaller ones. It just adds an almost luxurious level of comfort to the ride, and that wider, beefier contact patch just gives you an extra assurance when you're riding on rough surfaces, gravel, wet leaves, whatever it may be that's challenging you. I love the extra security of the wider tire. It just has a better grip and just is easier to maintain control in challenging situations. I love the wider tire in wind. It gets pretty windy around here sometimes, and if I am carrying, for example, a load of groceries, which is already making the ride more difficult, I just love the extra stability from that wider tire and its better grip. It just makes me feel safer, and it's easier to maintain control even as the wind is gusting. Even when I'm riding on just normal, smooth, dry pavement, very normal, unchallenging situations, I find it's almost relaxing. I can maintain a very relaxed stance, and the wheel just maintains a balance very nicely, very easily, with very little effort. Makes it very relaxing to ride. Also, going at very slow speeds, such as when encountering pedestrians or slowing down, waiting for traffic to pass, I can go very slow without feeling imminent tip over. These are some of the reasons why I have come to strongly recommend the Lhotz, if for no other reason, just for its unusually beefy tire. That extra wide tire is an advantage the Lhotz has over almost every 16-inch wheel out there. As you can see, the Lhotz uses a more modern kind of styling. It's kind of cool, kind of futuristic looking. It's more the round kind of form factor versus the traditional wheel with a battery box on top. So it's fun just for that unusual design that it has. It has a nice solid metal handle. It does not have a built-in trolley handle though, and I don't think it would be very easy to attach one. So bear that in mind. If you have to carry your wheel for long distances, this will get heavy. I don't mind carrying it for the distances that I typically need to, but if that's important to you, that could be one of the very few disadvantages of the Lhotz. Also the battery capacity. As we mentioned, it's 340 watt hour, and that is the biggest battery available in this wheel, which is plenty for me. My longest ride usually would be 2 hours, and more typically I ride for about an hour at a time. Even at 2 hours, I find I come nowhere near to running out of battery capacity, but I've noticed more and more people are asking for higher and higher battery capacities, and so if that's an important issue for you, again, that'd be one of the very few disadvantages I could possibly think of for the Lhotz. Certainly the 340 watt hour battery is more than sufficient for my needs and probably for many riders out there, but I just wanted to alert you that is the biggest battery available. I'd like to give you an idea of what the lights are like on the Lhotz. Now, unlike some wheels, it does not have a true headlight. It does, however, have LEDs on the front and back and on the sides. The front and back LEDs are nice because they change color as the wheel changes direction. Whichever direction the wheel is moving will shine with white LEDs, and what would then be the back side has red LEDs. A complaint I have about the front and rear LEDs, for some reason, even though there appears to be a setting in the app to save your preferences, the setting does not save. For example, I would like to have the front and rear LEDs always on. I can't do that. Every time I turn off the wheel, it loses the setting. So I have to go back into the app and turn them back on. No matter how many times I try to save the setting in the app, it doesn't save. That's a complaint I have, because in any given session, I turn the wheel on and off too many times to take out my phone, connect the app, and turn the lights back on every time. So it's kind of annoying. In the big picture, it's minor. I think everyone cares much more about the performance of the wheel than a minor characteristic of the lighting. However, it is still annoying if you're like me and you want to have those lights always on. Now let's turn on the lights, and just so you can see what they're like. As you can see, they're multicolored and they change direction you can see the revolving or the sliding motion, or the flowing. You can see the flowing motion of the LEDs and how they are following the direction in which the wheel is moving. Now look at the back panel here. See how whenever it comes towards me, those red LEDs light up? When it's coming towards me, they're red. When it's going away from me, it's just dark. Same on the other side. Okay, so that's how those lights work. Now I want to show you how the front and rear lights work the way I wish they would always work, but the setting won't save. We'll connect our app here. Okay, now right there where it says carousel, that is the side lights. That's these right here. Okay, that's the carousel lighting pattern. And there are several others that you can choose. If you just press on there where it says carousel, it will cycle through various other patterns that you might like to try. Now, to see how the carousel is highlighted in orange, look right above it where it says lamp. See how it's not highlighted? Okay, that where it says lamp controls the front and back LEDs. So I'm going to turn that on now. See how now it's highlighted? Okay. And I'll quit the app. And look, see my lights? They're on now. And see how when if that side is the direction of travel, it turns white. If it's the back of the wheel, it's red. So as you're changing direction, the red and white are following in accordance with that to match the direction that the wheel is moving. So white means this is the front, red means it's the back, and I think you can see how that's changing as I change the direction of motion of the wheel, how that's changing. Now, that's great, except that setting cannot be saved. I set it in the app, you saw that, but watch what happens when we turn the wheel off and turn it back on. See? They're not lit. So if I wanted those on, I'd have to connect the app again and turn them back on. That's unacceptable. Now I'm complaining about that. However, bear in mind that is just a very small issue and not very significant compared to how the wheel performs. That's what I care about the most. I wish IPS would fix this app so that I could save my LED settings. At least I can save my side settings. See, those stay set. You can see we've turned the wheel off and back on, and I did not have to go into the app to reactivate the side lights. So at least that part works. So I don't know what other people might do, but for me, it's too much trouble to, every time I want these lights on, to have to connect in the app and turn them on. So I just live without them. It's kind of disappointing, but, you know, I'd rather have an excellent wheel with one aspect of the LEDs that isn't quite perfect, rather than beautiful LEDs and a wheel that wasn't very good. And probably most of us would agree about that. But I wanted you to know about it. I wanted you to be aware of that situation currently with the lights. What's interesting to me is that a little bit older Lhotz is not that way. Now, the older, slightly older version only has red LEDs. You notice these were multicolored. On the older one, they were the only color was red. However, these lights here come on whenever the wheel's turned on. I don't have to keep connecting the app to turn those on. When I turn the wheel on, they're on. So why that one can do it and this one can't, who knows? Since we glanced at the black Lhotz a moment ago, let's take a closer look. I'd like you to see it so you can decide whether you would prefer to have the white one or the black one. Now, as I mentioned, this one is a little bit older than my white one, but the only difference I can detect is the lighting has been upgraded from red only to multicolor. And it is a little older, but both colors are still offered. I don't want you to think the older one is black and now they only have white. Both options are available. You might have noticed that neither one of my Lhotzes has its lettering. If you look on the internet for pictures of the Lhotz, you will see they have nice, very bold, decorative lettering on them. And you might be wondering why mine don't. Well, it's because the letters fall off. They don't stay on well at all. And what you'll notice, first one letter, then a couple more letters. Eventually, so many of the letters have dropped off that it doesn't make sense to leave them. And I just ended up taking off the remaining letters that didn't fall off on their own. I'm not very disappointed about the letters falling off because I actually think it looks better without the letters. Now that's just my reaction or my preferences, but I actually, am almost glad that they came off because to me it's a more streamlined appearance without them. But if you care about the lettering, I just wanted to alert you that on both of mine, the letters began coming off very soon after I began riding. I have two Lhotzes. I have a black one and a white one. I've been riding them for several months. I love the Lhotz. If I could only have one IPS wheel, it would probably be the Lhotz. I really love the IPS 121. And it's very nice in different ways. And it's very difficult for me to choose which I like best, the 191 Lhotz or the 121. I would say if I could only have one IPS wheel, it would be the Lhotz. The Lhotz has modern styling and that wonderful 2.5-inch tire width that really sets it apart from almost every 16-inch wheel out there. I love the IPS 191 Lhotz. I have thoroughly enjoyed both of my 191s, and I would not hesitate to purchase it again or to recommend it to anyone. When we were on our demo ride, I mentioned that I was going nowhere near the top speed of the Lhotz, but I did not tell you what that top speed is. Let me take care of that now. The Lhotz ships to you locked to a top speed of 20 kilometers per hour. Once you have ridden the wheel for 100 kilometers, the app will allow you to unlock the top speed to either 25 kilometers per hour or 30 kilometers per hour. Now, as I mentioned, my personal riding style is much slower than that. I rarely reach the top speed. However, it does make a difference in the tilt back. Setting the higher top speed results in later tilt back. So even if you don't regularly ride at that top speed, I think you'll appreciate the more reasonable occurrence of tilt back. Summing up, I give the Lhotz my top recommendation. I purchased a second one. I still would not hesitate to purchase another or to recommend it wholeheartedly to anyone considering a 16-inch wheel. I'd like to thank IPS for inviting me to submit this video with my comments. I'm glad to share my thoughts about it, and I hope many of you will discover the enjoyment, just the pleasure of riding the IPS 191 Lhotz.